What is going on, my Houston Texans family? It is day one of training camp for the Houston Texans. I also believe the rest of the league is in training camp. Ladies and gentlemen, before you know it, we're going to be at the practice. Then we're going to be watching preseason games. Then we're going to get ready for week one at LA. I cannot tell you how excited I am for training camp. If you are going to Saturday's practice, let me know in the comments down below. Since we weren't there today and only media credentialed members were allowed, we're going to go to their pages on X. So shout out to Landry Locker, Cody Stutes, Adam J. Wexler, DJ Bienemy. They all do a fantastic job covering this Houston Texans team. My name is Ruben Calavillo. This is the 713 Houston Sportcast, where I drop daily Houston Texans content. So please make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And I would like to say that today's episode is brought to you and powered by Platypus Brewing. Here is one of their new Australian blonde ales, Bobby Dazzler, and I love their slogan: brewed with a Texan heart and an Australian soul. Excited from our partnership with Platypus Brewing. Soon we're going to have some merch. We're going to have a lot of cool things here on the channel. But without further ado, it is day one of training camp for the Houston Texans. Let's go to Mr. Adam Wexler's profile and see how was his day at Houston Texans training camp. We'll go to his media page. Okay, here we go. Let's start off with this one because this is the one that I think is very important. The physically unable to perform list. Tank Dell, no surprise there. Like I've said time and time again, I do not think Tank Dell is, going to play this year. If he does play, it's towards the end of the season. Jimmy Ward, no surprise there. We know he showed up, but he has some legal things going on. Running back J.J. Taylor, running back Damian Pierce. Now, for these two, this is important. There is no Joe Mixon. So there are a lot of reps available right now, and they're all being eaten up by Nick Chubb. So I guess that's an advantage. That's a plus for him and the Houston Texans. But J.J. Taylor, more importantly, Damian Pierce, physically unable to perform. And with Damian, we were talking about, how this training camp is important for him. And I brought up all the carries being eaten up by Nick Chubb, but the Houston Texans also selected Woody Marks in the 4th round. KCO signed linebacker, Eli Conk center, a undrafted rookie for the Houston Texans this year. Hey, we have something interesting to talk about at the center position. Trent Brown, your tackle, no surprise there. We know that Trent Brown is more of your veteran for the Houston Texan offensive line. Lorenzo Fatukasi, now we knew that coming in, hoping that he gets healthy as soon as possible. Folo was very good against the run. And I can say the same thing about Kurt Heinrich, number 93. Been on the Houston Texans for damn near, I think, 4 or 5 years now. Derek Barnett, Danico Autry. So really 3 defensive tackles out, 1 defensive end, and Derek Barnett. But this is also the part of the, of the training camp where veterans like these guys, and I mean veterans, right? Derek Barnett, his retirement is closer to him, than his draft day. And I can say the same thing for guys like, Danico Autry, like any of your older Trent Brown. So I'm not stressing about this list whatsoever. If I had to put any stress on the list, of course, I would say Joe Mixon, but we know the Texans are being precautious. Moving on, let's continue. And once again, shout out to Adam J. Wexler. Here, I like it better like this. Okay. Here we go. We got Brevin Jordan ready to participate. Nothing too crazy there. Davis Mills testing out his 5-year ops. Graham Mertz and Slovis. 2 young quarterbacks for the Houston Texans. I don't even think Slovis makes this team, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, let's go. Now here we get to seeing some of the players come out. You see Davis Mills, you see our quarterback CJ Stroud. These boys are just warming up. John Mechie, Jaden Higgins, I see there. Who else? Is that Braxton Berrios I see there? John Mechie is very interesting. In the drill, RB is Chubb, Ogumba Wale, Jordan, Marks, and Brooks. We get to see Nick Chubby up here. Dare Abungawale. Let's continue. Stroud to Schultz, Stroud to Jordan. A couple more. Linebacker Christian Harris is the only player on the active roster that I have not seen at practice. And then we find out, Christian Harris was not participating today. Moving on. Thank you, Adam Wexler, for everything. Let's go to, let's go to Landry Lonker, because Landry Lonker had a tweet that everyone was talking about. The O-line to start. I'm sorry. Let me see. Where is that at? Okay. First O-line to walk through. Now, we were having a conversation about the offensive line and saying that we think it's Cam Robinson at left tackle, Lakin Tomlinson at left guard, Jake Andrews at center, Titus Howard at right guard, and Blake Fisher at right tackle, because that was the offensive lines that were thrown out there for the ones during OTAs and mandatory minicamp. I said that if this was the same Houston Texan offensive line thrown out there, then it might be your starting offensive line for week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams. However, Landry Locker said that the first offensive line in the walkthroughs was left tackle Cam Robinson, no surprise. Left guard Lakin Tomlinson, no surprise. At center, though, Jared Patterson, someone who we were talking about in the offseason, who's going to be the starting center, him or Juice Scruggs. Right guard Titus Howard, no surprise there. And then look at this, a surprise at left tackle, second round pick, Ariante Ursary. This is the first version of this offensive line that we have seen. Could this be the offensive line for week 1 against the Los Angeles Rams? I don't know. How would I feel if this potentially is the starting offensive line? I would say I'm comfortable about every single one except right tackle, right? And that's Ariante Ursary. I would think Blake Fisher would have won the matchup, but if the rookie is better, then go ahead and give it to the rookie. But at center, would I feel more comfortable with Jared Patterson? Would I feel more comfortable with Jake Andrews? Because we know the story of new offensive line Cole Popovich and Jake Andrews. One of the reasons that Jake Andrews got drafted to the Patriots was because of Cole Popovich. Jake Andrews was talking about how he was trying to play center for so long, and Cole Popovich was the one that gave him that opportunity to do it. So there's a lot of history between the two, but I wouldn't mind seeing this out there in week 1. Of course, I'm keeping my eye on the right tackle because it was Ariante Ursary out there and not Blake Fisher like we thought. Let's go ahead and see. Landry Christian Harris is not on the PUP, but I have not seen him, and he is not on the field for defense group install. Let me see. Every wide receiver trying to fit into this roster is practicing, including Berrios. Close eyes will be kept on him on special teams. Berrios, Kirk, Jalen Noel returning punts and first special teams drill of camp. The second offensive line was Ariante Ursery at left tackle, Juice Scruggs at left guard, Jake Andrews at center, right guard Titus Howard. So Titus Howard is your starting right guard, and they might try to give him as much reps at the right guard position as he can. And then at right tackle, Blake Fisher. Okay, let's see. I know it was, I believe, Chancellor Johnson. No, Jonathan Alexander, who has some great things. Great things. Great videos too. Okay. Okay, we'll see. Here we are. What the offensive line said. I expect the offensive line to continue to shuffle, but the first team O line looked like this, and it was the one that we just talked about. Let's go day one of training camp. Shout out to Jonathan M. Alexander. Let me see. Oh man, I gotta do better at this. Okay. Another video. CJ shot a Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, and Jaden Higgins in individual team drills. Let's watch that. Yeah, I had to see that first one again because the video messed up a bit. And I think that's the only video we have from Jonathan M. Alexander, but I think he has some plays. All right. First play of 11 on 11. CJ finds tight end Brevin Jordan in the flats for a big gain. Second pass to tight end Dalton Schultz for a decent gain over the middle. Good start. We heard Nick Cayley say he loves himself tight ends. And then moving on, I think we have some Davis Mills connected with Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins on his first two throws on 11 on 11. But the highlight was his pass on a deep outright to Jared Wayne. Perfectly thrown, beautiful catch. We do have an update on Tank Dell. D'Amico Ryan's on Tank Dell. He's crushing the rehab. He's doing phenomenal. He also says they won't put a timetable to return. Of course, let's see if we can get some observations from Jonathan M. Alexander. Fortunately, no, we'll have to sign in, but that's okay. Thank you, Jonathan M. Alexander, for all the insight. And then last, we'll go to Will Kunkel because Will Kunkel does a fantastic job. Look at our quarterback. Let me see. Let me try to make sure the quality is a little better. Okay. Let's move on. We got CJ shots and Nick Chubb. See that one more time. I really hope Nick Chubb's healthy, man. If he is healthy, we got ourselves something special brewing. CJ Shaw once again a pass here to Nick Chubb. I think this is beneficial for Nick Chubb, really. Like, I think that him getting all these opportunities, and right now you could say he's getting all the RB1 reps because there is no Joe Mixon, there is no Damian Pierce. This is also great for rookie running back Woody Marks. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, first day, of training camp for the Houston Texans. One thing that I do want to say is that there were a lot of shots thrown at Bobby Slowick, right? Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans praises the signal callers on day one, talking about being adaptable, talking about, not being a copycat offense. And we'll all discuss that a little bit later. But ladies and gentlemen, training camp is underway for the Houston Texans. We are back. For more Houston Texans content, you guys all know what to do. Feel free to follow me for more. I can't wait for the open practice. Go Houston. You guys have a very blessed day.